What's going on, everybody? I'm John J. II, and this is Gin Promotions. I'm back in the booth with the Beeper Man himself, and we have very special guests today. The Michigan Man Cave podcast is with us today. We're here with Keen, B, and Train. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you guys want to give us a quick introduction, we'd love it. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. I'm Train. I kind of lead the discussion on our podcast. And this podcast started about 3 years ago now. We're into our third season. I think we got around 50 episodes or so.
Wow.
It all started off with us just literally on three-way calls. And I was like, man, we put this out, man. Like, it's crazy. Just we had some great in-depth conversations. So we finally, man, we were terrible at first. Our audio was all messed up. It was just a bad production, but we've been rocking out for about 3 years. And these are some of my best friends from all the way back from high school, man. We've been friends over 25 plus years, all Michigan fans. So that's kind of how the podcast came about. I currently live in Atlanta. B lives in Atlanta and Keen lives in Miami. So, man,
okay.
We rock out hard to the boys in blue. We go to all the bowl games. I think we've been to the last X amount of bowl games. And, yeah, man, that's kind of how we started this thing off.
Good shit. Good shit.
I
mean, holy shit. I mean, so now what you're telling me is, this is what you guys are telling me, what I just heard in my own 2 ears, is we now have free places to stay in Atlanta and Miami.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
That's what I'm hearing right now.
That's what I got.
I should say TBD after this conversation.
Absolutely.
Right. But I'll let B give a little rundown. Keen, one of them.
Yeah, go for it, boys.
What's going on, man? Pleasure being here. Thanks for having us. As Train alluded to, I'm 1/3 of the Michigan Man Cave podcast. My name is B. I'm kind of the skeptic. I don't take any of the bull jive, the media hype, none of that. I want to see it on the field, and if I don't, I'm gonna call you out on it, as you probably heard on the podcast. But yeah, for the past 3 years we've been doing this. For the last couple, it seems it's just turned into therapy. But we get our emotions out at least once a week, dealing with, our team's successes and failures. But we just real diehard Blue fans. We grew up in Lansing. That's a stone's throw from East Lansing. So we were surrounded by nothing but State fans. So that kind of even bounded us together even more. But we all got a common origin to how we became State fans. My older brother, his last name is Howard. So he was a big Desmond Howard fan. So when you're younger, the older brother got the remote. So that's who you watching. So
for sure.
Watching Michigan.
You're right.
Good stuff.
Go ahead, King.
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Appreciate y'all having us on again, man. I'm Keen. I'm the other third of the Michigan Man Cave podcast. I want to say I'm kind of the comic relief sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't want to take that crown, but yeah, man, like you said, the older brother, watched football, Michigan football, and just been a fan ever since. We grew up playing against people from East Lansing, and that was another reason why I didn't like them. They were kind of cocky, and they weren't really good. So that's another reason why I don't like East Lansing or Michigan State. But yeah, man, I've been a fan since I could remember, man. And like I said, appreciate you having us on again, man.
Yeah, thank you guys so much again for joining us. All great stories. And like you guys might have known from the little pregame kind of talk before this, is we're both diehard Michigan State fans, which is a little bit of a controversy coming right off the bat there. But, I'll let TB kind of run the conversation. I'm sure he's got some questions he's dying to ask you guys, aside from the ones we talked about before we went live. But we'll see what happens with the conversation. Go ahead, Tom.
So here's the first question I got, and I've been saving this one right in my back pocket. Okay, it's been just tucked away right in the back pocket. Okay, I was waiting for the right time to ask it, waiting for the right group of dudes to ask it to, and I think we got it right here. Okay, so Train, I'm going to start with you. Okay, and then you guys can pass around if you want to. But so when are Michigan fans going to admit that you guys are a basketball school now? I mean, is that something that's going to happen sooner than later, or like when are we going to admit that?
No, that's not going to happen. So our basketball team, yeah, we are looking pretty good. I like where Jawan is taking the squad. Michigan's a football school. Y'all know it. We know it. It's gonna be a football school. That's what drives the university. Ann Arbor is known as a football town. It is completely football all the way. And the basketball team is good. We love it. Don't get it twisted. At the same time, the Michigan Man Cave podcast covers hoops in depth too.
Yeah, right? For sure.
We know everything about we know everything about all the basketball players, who's coming off the bench, who's sucking, who we need to recruit, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, no way it's not a football school.
Okay, so we're not admitting that yet. We'll reconvene in let's say 5 years, and we'll ask the question again and see where we go from there. So, so B, I asked the question to Train. He kind of dodged it, which I kind of expected off the rip. So what do you say to that? What's your first take on that?
When the basketball arena is as big as the big house, that's when we'll become a basketball school.
You know what? That's about all that needs to be said about that. I mean, that was actually a very good point. That was
answered the question pretty well. I liked it.
Once we have 115,000 seat, basketball arena, then we can talk about being a
then we'll give basketball the crown.
Second largest in the world. Second largest in the world.
Good stuff.
What about you, B? How do you react to that question?
Keen.
Oh, Keen.
Oh, it's gonna take some
my boxes are messed up.
They're brothers, man. They look
That's
alike.
my fault. Yeah, they look alike, man. Thought they switched boxes here.
I'm gonna say I would probably say never, because we're a football school with a hell of a basketball team. It's always been like that. We do trend set in basketball, Fab Five, wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? But it's a football school, always will be, with a hell of a basketball program.
Okay,
and that's how I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, we're just gonna leave it short and sweet at that point. Okay, I mean, fair enough. I mean, here at GINPROS, we like to ruffle some feathers. We like to ask the questions that maybe people don't like to answer and things like that. So I mean, me as a Spartan fan, okay. So let me give you a little bit of our background, I guess, really quick. So I've been going to Michigan State basketball games since I was, I think, 5. Uncle had season tickets for football and basketball. So nice. I've been in the Breslin and Spartan Stadium since I can remember. Funny, here's kind of a fun fact. I've actually peed on Tom Izzo's shoes before. Dang. So that's kind of my ticket to fame right there.
You could say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we locked eyes. It was intimate. It was the real deal. So I have done that. So but it's crazy though with Michigan. I think a lot of people don't give the basketball team enough credit because if you look in the last 10 years, I mean, they played in Final Fours. They should have beat Louisville. I mean, let's just call that what it is.
Oh, they did beat Louisville. I mean, that was a block shot.
I mean, that was about as blatant as it gets as getting gypped out of a championship. And listen, I think Michigan made a splash hire when they brought in Juwan Howard, and I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be there for 20 years. 20, 30 years and really build a, solid basketball program. But it's funny though, the Michigan fan base, it seems like doesn't latch on to the basketball team. Like I think they should. I mean, that's just me. I don't know, I don't know about the rest of the room, but.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of them kind of like you guys, don't want to break you guys the stereotype, but a lot of people kind of like, we're just a football school. Don't tell us we're a basketball school. We're a football school. We're not right. We're both. Unlike Keen kind of backed it up a little bit. He said we're a football school with a hell of a basketball program. Yeah. I like that. But why do you guys kind of shy? I don't want to say shy away, but why are you embracing of your basketball team, or are you all football? Okay.
No. We love the basketball team. Mm-hmm. Like, let me say that first. And if I need to pause after that, just so y'all hear me, we love the hoop squad, but it's a football school. Even in the next 5 years, that's just how it is. Like I didn't make the rules. That's just like
you just follow them. You just follow.
Yeah, I don't necessarily follow them, but it is what it is. It is a football school, right?
Right.
So, but like I agree, John Beilein. I loved Beilein. He was great. I mean, the guys bought into him, and I mean, if we're talking about Michigan State, because the football Sparties love to tell us about our record versus them, but Beeline and Izzo were about damn near 50.
Listen, people, and that's
true.
what I'm saying. Like, that's what I try to shed some light on. Beeline did not get enough credit for what he did with that. And now listen, were there some bad losses? Absolutely. But everyone's got bad losses. I mean, I tell people when they say that, just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Everyone's got bad losses. But him making that transition to the Cavaliers was the worst thing he ever did.
Ever.
He should have never left. Should have stayed. I'm not saying that they maybe would have parted ways, at some point, but no, I think he was a staple in Michigan athletics. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the University of Michigan Hall of Fame, I'm sure there is one. I think he'll be inducted. I think he will be in there as one of the best basketball coaches you guys have ever had.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt. If he doesn't, that's a travesty.
Right.
He was assistant coach though, but so jumping to the NBA, it was like,
right.
You're an older guy, you're not gonna be able to control these young dudes that, aren't here just to play in your system. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't a good fit for him to go to Cleveland for me. But like you said, Hall of Fame for sure, man. I can't remember a better coach. I mean, I haven't been alive 35 years, but
right.
That's one of the best coaches we had. He took us further than we've been, besides 5-5, of course. But
right.
Other than that, man, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was way better than the Brian Ellerby and Tommy Amaker days.
Oh my God,
that's when we were trash.
I mean, that's about as bad as it gets. I mean, that's when you guys are winning 7-8 games a year. I mean, it's just embarrassing to watch.
Terrible. That was terrible.
So okay, obviously, college football is a main talking point on our show. Obviously, I'm assuming you guys as well. So listen, we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, because the elephant's pretty large. Okay,
I want to hear about this.
He's
it's not an elephant to us anymore.
Okay,
go ahead.
I know what he's gonna ask you.
Is Harbaugh your guy?
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim John at this point. I mean,
whatever his name is.
The guy's
Sally
name
Winkle, Pinocchio, whoever you want to get.
So Keen, I'm gonna start with you. Okay, and I need the most honest answer you can possibly give without the Michigan alumni base, firing you guys as the number one podcast they have.
Hey, that's what's great about us. We're funded by nobody, so we
so fun.
Hell we want, and we do.
Keen, is Harbaugh? Is he the guy?
No, and we said. I mean, we went over this on the podcast a couple times, but it's the culture, the play calling. The lack of discipline. I mean, we seen changes when he first came in, and they were good changes because we had a bump. I mean, they weren't necessarily his guys, but the culture changed. And we had a bump in wins in that season when Rudock was there first season. And, I mean, you could gradually say it got worse after that because we had a couple of 10-win seasons, but, I mean, like you said, it's a football school. This is Michigan. We have high expectations. 10 wins is like without a championship, without beating Ohio State at least.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he hasn't beaten them yet. So it's like, no, definitely not. No.
Okay. So Keen is ex-nay on Harbaugh. Okay.
What about you, B? Let me ask you. How do you feel about Harbaugh?
I've been no on Harbaugh before it was the popular thing to do. I've been out on him. Give me Chuck Woodson. Give me anybody, a figurehead. I don't care. But
so like a Juwan Howard.
Like a Juwan Howard move for the basketball team, kind of do something similar. But see, you think about it, that's almost kind of what they did with Harbaugh in a way.
I mean, he was that figure. He was that quarterback for him. He was,
But you got to understand, at the time Harbaugh got hired, his stock was way higher than it is. It's dropped in the last 6 years. I mean, he had just came off of what? An AFC championship appearance. Yeah. He was the big thing out. He was the quarterback guy.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest problem is that we're not even being successful on what you're good at. You're supposed to be good at quarterbacks. And since he's came in, that's been the position that we struggled at the most. We haven't had
it's probably been the worst position you guys have had. I mean, arguably.
And I mean,
facts. That's real.
In college football, I mean, it all starts with a quarterback. It can hide a great quarterback can hide a bad defense.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a subpar offense a little bit better, but we don't score points when we need to. We settle for field goals a lot. But again, that's what was his job, is to find a quarterback. And since you're not doing what you're supposed to be known for, as being the quarterback guru, you can't be the guy to necessarily lead us to the next level.
Okay. Hey, listen, all honest answer so far.
What about you, Train?
So, like I said, I keep it real. I was probably the last off the Harbaugh bandwagon. B, like he said, was the first one chalking it up, right? Like, I'm done with this dude. I'm done with this dude. And the reason I was last is because, like, I take a big picture look at things. Like, for real, you make a move like this, big ass move, right? Like, you're about to hit the reset button. Like,
facts.
Somebody comes in that first year and just, does what Michigan fans expect Michigan to be, right? So let's just have a realistic expectation of what's going to come. But we're to the point now, one, where it can't, like, we're so bad, it's like we have to take the chance. And then two, the other reason I didn't want to hop off so quick is because, like, we were so mad at Lloyd Carr. Like, essentially, Lloyd Carr, he didn't get fired, but everybody was like, it's time, Lloyd, right?
It was time for him to step away. I mean, it wasn't a firing, but it was
almost like a D'Antonio in a way.
Yeah,
exactly. It was the same thing. But because Lloyd started losing to Ohio State, right? Lloyd was consistently getting them 9 or 10 wins for sure. He was locked in for 9 or 10. But now Harbaugh's there, and then you're actually looking at where we are, and it's like, you can't just forget we came off of Brady Hoke, Rich Rod, you know what I'm saying? And the fans who want so much right now can't appreciate 10 because they want so much. But when we were 5 wins with Brady Hoke and missed a bowl game in the last year, everybody now, if you just said, man, we can't even get 10 wins. Now we got 10.
Right.
And like, so where do you make what's your breaking point? Where do you
to me, so and this is I guess this has been my argument. My argument is I think Harbaugh's the guy. I think because my thought process, well, who else are you going to get? Like who else is out there? Now, yeah, there are some guys from some smaller schools, some young head coaches that got a lot of fire and this and that, but Michigan just isn't a school that you can just come into and expect it to be like a Coastal Carolina or be like, Hugh Freeze down at Liberty. I mean, there is a lot that goes into the program that is going to determine success or not. And when these Michigan fans talk about, 10 wins not being Ohio State, to me, it's kind of like empty calories. Like you're eating garbage and it's not doing you any good. That's kind of like Michigan. They win 9-10 games. They don't beat Ohio State. They're not playing for a Big Ten championship. They're not, and that's just kind of it. They're playing Florida in the Gator Bowl. Like, it's just like, it's not good enough,
I'm tired of going there.
But to me, I think he's the guy. I just don't think there's a good enough candidate out there that could come in, and you said Hugh Freeze, that's who a lot of Michigan fans have been talking about.
Sparty loves him as our coach, though. You guys are what?
You would.
3-3 against this. You guys want him to be our coach.
Hugh Freeze screams Rich Rodriguez to me. I mean, he just screams Rich Rod. Big, supposedly this offensive genius and this and that, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at Michigan.
I'll say this real quick. I got an inside connection to the Liberty program, right?
Oh boy.
Like somebody.
Well, I mean, your name's
really
Train. Close. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all.
So, and I know from that very close source that the guys on the team absolutely love Hugh Freeze. Like it's like 100%. The guys are all bought in, and that's what I like more than anything. Because X's and O's, yeah, that matters. Don't get me wrong. But you got to have one, the players, and two, the players that believe. That goes back to what Keen said. The culture. Our players straight up look like they gave up this year. And when you see that at any time, that's when I tapped out. That was my breaking point. So my question to you would be, what is it about Harbaugh that you see that makes him want to stay? Because you see the current state of our program. It's in its 6th year. We're descending, not ascending.
So 2020 it's an odd year. Okay. It's not the your typical year where you have your August camp, you have spring ball. I mean, it's a tough year. So I think to judge Harbaugh solely on 2020, and this is the year that players, kind of gave up this year for a multitude of reasons, not just because of Harbaugh. They're getting tested every day. Some players can play, then they can't. There's so many outside factors and so many different things that are playing a role in them playing football this year. The Big Ten was the first to say we're not playing football. Then we're playing football. Then we're not playing football. Like there's a lot that goes into that. And I think Harbaugh is the scapegoat and everyone's placing the blame on that when I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't think you can put all of this on him. His defensive coordinator hadn't changed a defense in I can't tell you how long, and he got rid of the guy. He's done. See ya. Okay. He's gone. So, to me, see what he's going to do, just that, to jump ship, and because you're making my argument for me when you had Hoke, when you had Rich Rod, and you're winning 5, 6, 7 games, and the people are fuming and they want to know what it's going to take to get to 10, 11 wins. Well, you got that guy. There's just a couple breaks got to go his way. I think. I just don't think it's safe to get rid of him.
That's where I was with you for the longest up until this year. Really, that's exactly what's my B. I'll let B go because I know he wants to say something, but what you just said was my exact talking points until this year. B,
okay, so it was all up until this year, and then that was it.
I saw people quit. Everybody's dealing with COVID. We're not the only program.
And that's all I'm going to piggyback off of is just look at we'll say Ohio State, Michigan State, every other team when they said, "Oh, we're announcing that. Oh, we're not playing. We're playing." Look at how many of our starters said, "Okay, we're not coming back regardless."
Yeah,
they gave up on them. That's just the team saying that I'm not receiving the message that you're giving anymore, and I'm done. I'm done with the program. And to me, one thing I've been getting into on the podcast is that we're starting to get players that aren't buying into the Michigan tradition. Whatever it is, whatever the message that Harbaugh is giving, these players are coming to these players are coming to Michigan because it's Michigan. They're doing what they need to do at Michigan, and they're leaving. They're moving on. We don't have, like you said, Don Brown hasn't changed his defense. So whatever they're selling at recruiting, they're getting the players to come. But even now today, we had 15 people declare for the transfer portal.
Yeah.
We're losing.
I think it was like up to 15. Yeah, that said we're gone.
What other program can say they're having those type of turnovers? They're just not believing in Harbaugh. So this ship has been sailing for 6 years. And for 3 of them, the last 3, it's kind of been sinking. You got to get off of it at some point.
And again, that's a great point, and everyone is dealing with COVID. But I just think that so much of it is being put on Harbaugh. And again, you guys have watched way more Michigan football this year than we have, right? Way more. So you guys have seen some of that quit, some of that, more so than we have. But I don't know. I just, without having a guy that, so is there a guy out there that you guys feel confident enough in?
Okay, let me say this real quick. Think about Harbaugh, right? If it's not, it's kind of like my Stafford with the Lions. I'm a diehard Lions fan, right? Like whether
oh boy,
whether or not it's Stafford's fault, he has to go because guess what? We've drafted tackles, we drafted running backs, we drafted receivers, we drafted defense, we drafted everything. It just ain't working. I'm just the bottom line guy. Like, is it working? Is it not? Regardless of whose fault it is, you're the coach. Stafford, you're the quarterback. So it's like it's like those 50-50 Lions fans. Half of them love Stafford. He ain't the problem. And you got the other like me, like, how long are we gonna try this? 15 years?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just like, it ain't working. We've had different offensive coordinators. We're on our 3rd offensive coordinator, different defensive coordinators. You've hired all different types of coaches. You've been the one constant.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you, Train. I'm done with talking about the Lions. This is a completely different conversation that we can have. We're going to block off some more time just to talk about that. But you said it there perfectly. We drafted people in every position. We got to get a new quarterback. The way you look at it, doesn't matter what you're talking about, college football or pro football. The quarterback position is one notch below the head coach position. You run that team. You got to be in charge of everybody on that team, offensively, defensively, and you got to be able to have control over everybody at a certain point. So I completely agree. Got to get rid of him.
So, John, do you think Harbaugh's a guy in Ann Arbor, or do you think it's time for them to move on?
I think it's time for them to move on. I think we've had a hell of a run here as State fans with Harbaugh at the helm. But
I mean, we've enjoyed it.
Listen, if I was a Michigan guy,
Exactly.
I'd be ready I'd be ready for something more refreshing. I need a refresher. I need a new guy there. So I think Harbaugh is somewhat exhausted too. Just go back to the NFL, be a coordinator or something.
Yeah.
We've all
agreed that he needs to go, but we've also all agreed more than 50% or more that he's going to be back next year.
Well, here's the thing. Michigan doesn't fire their football coaches. They don't fire their football coaches.
Michigan,
okay?
man.
Football school.
Yeah, they don't fire the football coach. They have too much pride with them. Harbaugh, I mean, I would like to get a consensus of the group here, but Harbaugh will be there as long as Harbaugh wants to be there. I mean, that's just my thought. As long as Harbaugh wants to be in Ann Arbor, Harbaugh is going to be there. Yeah. I mean, what's
I don't think there's a consensus.
As long as he's winning 8, 9, 10 games, are they going to fire him?
No, yeah, that. But if we get like a losing records, then Ward Manuel's feet's going to be to the fire, even if that is your buddy that you played with. I don't know.
Right.
This Ward Manuel, check this out. If we win 5 games next year, guess what? And you don't make a move, your job's on the line. AKA Dave Brandon. Yep. Get up out of town, Dave Brandon. You don't want to be a boss. Hey, come on. You gotta go too. So
What it said, call him Pizza Boy?
Pizza.
If that's your man's like that and you want to ride it out, go ahead. But you playing with fire at that point in time. So yeah, as long as he gets 10, 9 wins, yeah, I'd agree with that. But once we start consistently losing to the teams we shouldn't be losing to, now you got some to make.
I mean,
that's a good point.
So for us, I mean, let's just take a consensus of the Michigan State football program really quick. So obviously Mel Tucker comes in.
Let's hear this.
I've been very optimistic with Mel Tucker. I think his recruiting is gonna tap into a market that D'Antonio never really was. The West Coast kids, those California, Colorado, Oregon kids. He's a Pac-12 guy. Okay, so very optimistic of him coming in this year. But this has been the most inconsistent football team I have ever. Now, I've watched bad Michigan State football, but at least they've been consistently bad. At least they've been bad from week 1 all the way, to the end of the year. These guys, I mean, they look good for a quarter. They look like they're playing hopscotch the second quarter. They look like they could go compete for Big Ten one quarter. Then they look like they belong playing high school 1 AA ball. I mean, it's so up and down, but I think Mel Tucker's our guy. I'm confident in Mel. I'm confident. And I think the recruiting, the big thing where I think Michigan is lacking, and I think Michigan State's lacking as well, is in the recruiting battle. I just think that there are Ohio States, there are Clemsons, there are Alabamas that are just Michigan will have a good class. Michigan's consistently probably top 15 in the country when it comes to recruiting. But look where Ohio State's consistently at. Look where Alabama's consistently at. Look where Clemson. I mean, they're
almost monopolizing the recruiting market.
I mean, there's such, and then you take the gap, guys, from Michigan to Michigan State, where now Michigan State's like a top 40 program,
right?
And there's just such a gap, and that's got to change, I think.
Yeah. Keen, did you want to say something? I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, just, I mean, if he is your guy, he beat us this year, and we were coming in the game like, oh yeah, we're gonna cakewalk you guys, whatever. But
that was my thought process too. I thought we were gonna lose by a gazillion.
That's gotta be some type of culture, man. Because like you said, the gap, and I mean, just with D'Antonio leaving and everything, I felt like we should have dog walked you guys, but y'all stepped up and y'all came to play, and that has to do something with the culture, man. Because and the spirit of the team, and that starts with the coach. So for sure. I feel like, he was it didn't seem like a good hire because everybody was like, basically, who's this guy or whatever from Colorado? But, it's looking up. Y'all beat us. I mean, that's what and build off of that.
we just had a transfer come in from Temple, a quarterback transfer coming from Temple. I mean, our quarterback play has been so up and down. We have that Peyton Thorne kid.
Yeah. Rocky ain't it.
Yeah,
Rocky ain't it at all.
I mean, he actually just transferred to a MAC school, if that tells you.
Yeah,
anything.
Rock.
Yeah, he's
Where
going
Rocky going?
He's going to Northern Illinois, where he probably should have been to begin with.
The Huskies.
So, you know, I think the quarterback play is going to be better next year. We are losing some pieces on the defensive end. You know, Simmons is going to, you know, is going to be going to the draft. You know, Ann Arbor kid though. Yeah. I mean, he played his guts out in that Michigan game. But we'll see, man. You know, I think the future is bright in East Lansing. I think we have something to look forward to. But again, it's like, when is enough is enough? Like, how long do we give this guy? Like, I never really know, because I've always, you know, D'Antonio's been, you know, I mean, we had John L. Smith, but I mean, that was just an absolute disaster. So, I mean, I guess I don't know when enough is enough.
Well, you give him a buffer year. You got to give him a buffer year, right? The first year, he's always got to be a buffer
this year
year.
doesn't count.
It doesn't really count, even especially with COVID and everything like that, abbreviated season. You know, you kind of at least give him this year. I'd give him at least another year, just kind of feel him out. He has a feel for the team. They've been enough practices by now. Give him all of next year. Hopefully things are normal by there. Fingers crossed for that. But then following that, just depending on what he does next year, I think that's going to be a good read. That'll set the stage even more so than this year, I think. And then after that, then he should be off to the races as far as, you know, getting control of the program, right? So
I like these guys in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not so sure about Mel Tucker's X's and O's. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad or great. I'm kind of in there, but I will say that I like a few things about him, right? One, I like that he seems like he ain't for all the BS. Like, he's like kicking kids off the team.
Right.
Yep. D'Antonio would be putting up with
all of that. And it seems like he's letting them, like, D'Antonio was like more of like, you know, we're going to line up, man. We're going to play good football. Like, this guy, they got different helmets every week. They got different graphics I see. It's like he's trying to finally appeal to like a different kind of kid. And when it comes to recruiting guys, like, it seems like, man, like, let's call it what it is. We're not about to get, like, yeah, we'll poach some kids from the South or some, you know, here and there from Cali and all that. But in the Midwest, you must win Ohio, because that's where all the ballers are.
That, I mean, there's a pipeline. I mean, the kids that come out of this, Ohio's the worst state in the entire universe. Let's just, first of all,
I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah,
we can agree on that.
But
the high school ball there is serious.
But good night, the amount of talent that comes out of that play. It's
like Texas for high school football. For
like, what are they feeding
for the Midwest?
Yep, for the Midwest, it's our Texas.
Think about your boy Fickle over there in Cincinnati. They said he went and he already had those Ohio ties and went over there, and they showed it a graphic when he took over at Cincinnati. He had, like, I think it was around 15 or 20 guys from Ohio on the roster. Now it's like 75% on the roster from Ohio. And look, they're undefeated. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a guy. Does Michigan throw an offer at Luke Fickell? Does Michigan? I mean, is that a guy that you guys could see coming in the program and turning it around? I'll start with Keen. Let's go with you. I'll throw that one at you first.
Just going off of the podcast that we had a guest on there that's a diehard Michigan fan, and he didn't like Fickell. I'm like, I don't know for sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to give an opinion on somebody I don't know like that. He's doing a great job at Cincinnati. And if he does recruit like that out of Ohio State, then, I mean, it will be a great hire. But I just heard, this is what I heard now. This is just what I heard, that he didn't like Michigan or something like that.
Well, he's an Ohio State guy.
Yeah. I mean, we tried hiring him. He told us to go shove it. Okay, he told us to bend over and take a Nike football up the ass. What he told us to go do. So, you know, that's kind of where we are right here. But you know, I think Fickell's a guy though that, you know, he had that interim job at Ohio State for a season. It wasn't a great year for him.
One time we beat them.
Yeah, there you go. So, you know, he leaves. You know, and I think he's got this. I think you're right, Keen. He has this chip on his shoulder for the Big Ten. I just think there's kind of a sour taste in his mouth. But I do think he's going to end up at a Power 5 school. I mean, I think the guy is good enough to do that. So we'll see. It'll be really interesting, though. But
yeah, we'll see.
What about you, B? What do you feel about that?
Again, I don't know too much about him. from what I've seen from Cincinnati, again, I mean, I'm just going to be reiterating points. I like what he does out of Ohio because, like I said before, Ohio for the Midwest is our Texas. That's where most of the talent is. That's where the best player in Michigan football history and the Heisman Trophy, one defensive Heisman Trophy, they both came from Ohio. So that's where the talent is. We don't need a bunch of kids from Ohio, but we do need more kids that understand the rivalry. As far as when it comes to Michigan State versus Ohio State, that's what you wish for about him recruiting out of the Pac, Pac-12, because you get kids in the program that don't really understand how important these rivalries are to the people in the states. So,
no, for sure. I mean, that's a great point.
I feel like that's what it is because I mean, the games that we played, the game that we played this year, man, it was an effort game. You guys just out-efforted us in every way, shape, or form, and that's because our roster is filled with kids that might not understand how important the rivalry is. You know what I mean? So
that could be true.
I don't really know too much about them.
And B,
what up?
I'm gonna tell y'all. I said this before the Michigan State.
He's kind of a prophet.
I said this before the Michigan State game. I said they don't have they're a fresh program with a new coach. They don't got all their talent in there that they foresee coming under this guy. It's not the most talented team in the world. So, and knowing who we are, knowing who Don Brown is, I said if I was State, I would sit back and just throw fades on us all game because we're going to play stubborn D instead of making it 11-on-11. Try to make it a one-on-one game on the outside. Exactly what State did.
And then Ricky White, Big Ten Freshman of the Week. I mean,
it was crazy because Train had said that on a Monday or Sunday before the game, and that's exactly what they did. I was like, and we didn't get out of the defense. We stayed right in the defense and just
let them make $1 million a year.
It was either a pass interference or a touchdown. No in between.
For sure. So
pass interference too.
So here's a quick question for you guys, and this is one that John and I kind of were thinking about. If we were on your guys' end, which loss, and you can flip it back to us. This is more than welcome to flip back. Which loss to Michigan State was harder to watch? This one in 2020, or the muffed field goal, or the muffed punt? Excuse me.
Oh,
muffed punt.
Yeah, easily.
I'd say this one.
See.
I'd say this one. That one was a slop bucket.
Thank you, B. That's where I'm with you.
You shouldn't have been. We shouldn't have been in that situation. But it was straight up fluke slop. Yeah. What happened to the kid that got dogpiled on? Did he ever
broke his head?
Down?
Never played another day of football in his life. But he didn't need to.
He's going down in Spartan Lure.
Right. He could go eat anywhere in East Lansing for free for the rest of his life because of that one play. But just because, like I said before, the effort and how we just look, like Train said it, we look like we quit. And Harbaugh didn't come up with an answer. He didn't stop the bleeding by saying, and that's my problem with him too, is if Don Brown's calling that, you're the head coach and it's just getting ran through, go over there and tell him, change it. Or you start making the defensive calls, like be the leader,
Right.
I mean, not to be too frank, he's the commander-in-chief of the football team, but it just seems like he just says, all right, I'm over here. I'm going to get in my little squat dump position and just watch the game.
Big old digger in his bottom lip, and he's just
do something about it.
He's ready to go.
With his mic under the mask.
Right.
I got my mind $9 million. I'm good. Y'all handle it.
So, Train, what about you? You think the muff punt was harder to watch?
Yeah, man, and really because, well, a few things. One, State actually at that time was better, right? Like
I think we were 9 in the country, I think is where we were at.
No, that wasn't a bad team. That was a solid State team, right? So I say the muff punt because this one it like happened gradually, right? It was just like you see yourself losing, like, oh, we're about to lose, like with X amount of time on the clock left. It's like, damn, we're just about to lose. This is like one play and you have a 99.999% chance to win and somehow lose. That
the one thing that couldn't happen happens.
It happened, right? I mean that had to have been just a swift kick right in the nuts. I mean, that's about the only way to explain that.
Oh,
Max Protect.
I got
Max Protect
video.
On one, guys. Max Protect on one. Ready?
I got video of all the bad losses, man. I'm either burning something, breaking something.
Okay. That leads us into the video that we saw.
Yeah, who did we see a video of burning the hoodie?
That was
that Keen?
Was that Keen? Who was that? Was that?
No, it was Train.
Oh, it was Train.
Train.
Okay. Oh, that's right. All right. Who was filming that? Because I think we want to have a conversation with that guy. He's wearing some Sparty.
Oh, that was my brother. He's a diehard Spartan. I'm telling you, we're around all.
So
he's a diehard Spartan.
We saw it looked like a hoodie. Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna strip the pants right off and start burning the Jordan sweatpants.
Yeah, the Jumpman sweats.
I mean, I didn't know where that was gonna take a turn.
My neighbors were out on their deck, so
you kept it as PG as you possibly could.
I didn't want to have my drawers out. But I would have. That's how I was feeling. Like, just because it was so frustrating. Just because, like Bowie said, it was like we didn't make no adjustments. It's just like, it's frustrating to lose one, like just lose, and it's like, damn, they're just better than us, right?
Right. But to lose on just lack of execution and lack of, changing up.
They're just throwing fades. This isn't even football. It's just drop back. It's backyard. It's like, that's frustrating. Sure. We would have tried to adjust. Then you beat us with the next thing. And then we try, it's like, damn, hey, y'all, they're just better. But it's just a hard pill to swallow.
I mean, Rocky Lombardi should not be beating you guys. I mean, let's just call that. I mean, can we just say that? I mean, the dude, he was a wrestler out of high school, if that tells anything. The kid was a wrestler out of high school. Okay. The kid shows up on campus. Done. I mean, his hair is horrible. Okay.
I don't get that.
I mean, listen.
Not a mullet.
I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. And then he goes into Ann Arbor and he beats you guys. I mean, it's like, what's going on?
Even when Sparty has a bad football team, and this is what I give credit to D'Antoni all the time, they played hard for him. I mean, you guys could be bad, but you never was like questioning their effort, especially against us. I mean, that's the game I watched the most. There was a couple of times, you know what I'm saying, in these past couple of years where we go in and it's a rivalry game, so you don't want to say it's a lock, but you're like, all right, we're going to give it to, but then y'all come out and you play your asses off. I'm like, why isn't Harbaugh getting that same effort from our guys? Because it doesn't look the same. It looks lopsided.
And B, add to that point, before the game, remember we were sitting here watching right before the Michigan State game. They had, what did they say Harbaugh said about the game?
He says, if they didn't know about this rivalry, if my team didn't know about this rivalry, the message has been, what's the word he used?
He said the message has been clearly communicated.
Yeah, the message has been clearly communicated. And then we go out and lay a fucking egg?
Wow.
Like, come on.
So you say that.
Woodson, didn't he? Didn't he tell Charles?
You say that, and then that happens. So what?
Charles Woodson repeated it, King.
Oh, okay.
What do you gather from that?
So I have a few Michigan fans that I work with, and we're busting each other's balls every day at work. It seems like, I've got rights, for the next 365 days.
Right.
So here's my question. And I'm surprised I've gotten mixed reactions because I didn't think I would. I brought the question up. If Urban Meyer called tomorrow and said, I want to be the next coach at the University of Michigan, would you be happy? Would you be welcoming? Would you be like, he kicked our ass for too long. I'm out. He's, what would your reaction be? Let's start with Train. Let's start with you, buddy.
We've had this exact discussion on our podcast maybe 3 weeks ago or so. My answer was a complete and absolute fuck no.
Okay, but that blows my mind. That blows my mind that's your reaction.
All right, let me put this into perspective for you. It's like you got a girlfriend, right?
I do. Well, I don't, but let's just say
you got a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She cheats on you.
Okay.
And then the guy that she cheated on you with is like, hey man, I know you're looking for work. Come over here. I'll pay you $25 an hour. And you're like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna come work for you. It's like, nah, bro, there's too much bad. No, it's like you're selling out. You're selling out, and I can't do it. No. Nope.
See, and that's why I'm so surprised, because that Train's reaction was the reaction that I got. If I'm now, it might be different because I'm not a Michigan guy, but if I'm a Michigan fan right now and Urban Meyer comes over here, I say, listen, Urban, what do I gotta do to fluff your nuts to get over here? I mean, Urban Meyer could sleep in my own bed for the entirety of his contract if it meant he's coming to Ann Arbor to coach the football team. I mean,
I gotta look in the mirror.
Okay, look in the mirror and what? Look in the mirror.
I'm on Train's side.
Look in the mirror and not win anything.
And no, I sold my soul for a dub.
Is it worth it though? Is it? You got to ask yourself: is it worth
a national championship?
Even
is absolutely worth it.
But it's not guaranteed.
Hey, a couple national championships. Bring in the mercenary if you ask me. I want to win now.
B likes it.
Get him in here and have him start knocking people off. Just assassinate everybody.
I mean,
and don't take it easy.
I'm with the hire, man. I mean, everywhere he goes, he wins. Like,
I mean, he hires a few prisoners. He hires a few guys that are going to get locked up in a few years.
He's going to cheat for sure.
Okay. Oh, that's what if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Everyone knows he's going to cheat. I mean, he's going to be banging half the recruits' mothers. It's okay. Like, that's fine. But get him.
I don't doubt his football acumen. He has the brightest football minds I've ever seen.
I am shocked I am actually shocked that was your reaction. I really am.
Can't do it. He's selling your soul, man. He's selling your soul. He won't even
soul the devil.
He won't even say the word Michigan still to this day on the broadcast. He'll say the Wolverines every time. He hates your guts. Then he's just gonna come over and be like, "Hey guys, I'm in town. Like, let's go." Like, no. I
already know it won't happen, so that's the only reason I entertain it.
so John, you're ex.
I'm on the same side as Train. I wouldn't let that. It's too much. I couldn't welcome him into
the long history.
No way.
So y'all would take Nick Saban back. You would take Nick Saban back right now.
Yes, I would take Nick Saban.
I would never take Nick Saban.
I would.
Never would.
That's different.
Again,
he already did you wrong though.
Again, Nick Saban could. I would pay the man whatever he wanted. I'd pay him $100 million a year to come coach in East Lansing again.
No. Couldn't do it.
I'd build him a house. I'd build him a house.
Build him a castle right in the middle of the campus.
His house would be right in the middle of Spartan Stadium. We'd have to play around it. We'd have to play around his house. His house would be Spartan Stadium. I'd have to build a whole stadium for him.
A Mercedes dealership with it too. A Mercedes dealership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you wouldn't take him back?
I'm not a Saban guy at all. I would never take him back.
No way. I'm not saying I'd make out with the guy, but
you almost are though.
You almost are. I'd want him to come win a couple.
He could live in your house.
He's saying everything but that. I mean, just leave that what it is, right?
Wow, that did not get the reaction. Oh, I got 2 out of the 3. Two out of the 3 that I expected.
Train. No, man, it's like your lifelong adversary. Now you want to come be friends? Like, no.
Even if it means your beloved program that you've rooted for since you were 6 years old is now going to have nothing but success.
I wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
There'd be blood on those championships in Train's eyes.
Yeah. We have blood on our hands now.
Wasn't Darth Vader Luke Skywalker's father or something like that?
Yeah. Can I be like that? I don't know.
Unbeknownst to him.
There's blood on my hands. Absolutely. Perfect way to put it.
Good way to put it, guys. Hey, we'll start wrapping it up here. Is there anything else you guys kind of want to say? We had a great conversation here tonight.
Phenomenal.
Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap the podcast up here tonight?
I just want to say, I think y'all hoop team is a little hyped, and I believe we're gonna pop y'all.
You think? Now listen, okay.
I'm a little worried, man.
So, train. I don't think that's the case, but I don't think this team is as good as everyone's saying they are. Okay,
fair enough.
I don't think this team, as of right now, what's today's date? December 27th. I don't think this team right now is a Final Four team. But like you guys know, Tom Izzo teams, you can never count on them to be a Final Four team December 27th. Once we really get into the schedule things, we'll see where it's going. But I'm telling you what, this Michigan basketball team, I've watched a couple games. This Michigan basketball team looks like it could be an Elite 8 basketball team. They could be playing for I truly think they could, and it pains me to say that. I'm having a pain in my side when I recite those words.
Respect.
But I'm telling you, this Michigan basketball team be ready. If we lose the Michigan Man Cave podcast, they're going to be getting hold of us. They're going to be getting hold of us and saying, "Hey, we told you so."
I'm going to be tagging you on all posts.
I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised. But
we'll accept it.
All right, that's all I want. That's all I wanted to say, and I appreciate the invite.
Always. What about you, Keen?
And just great conversation, man. Appreciate the invite, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that matchup though. Really, basketball too, because like I said, it's always a good battle every year.
Right.
You never know who's gonna actually win until the game is over. So I'm looking forward to that battle.
I am too.
All right, B, what you got for us?
I just wanted to throw some respect on Beeline's name. I remember we started the conversation. We were talking about him kind of, but I just think when he went to Cleveland, he knew the writing on the wall because he's more of a system guy.
Yep.
So the college game is moving in a whole different direction. Like our recruiting class that's coming in, they're probably going to be pretty much one and dones. A couple pieces are going to stay, like our big fella Dickinson. I really got high hopes for him. He's going to be a problem in the next couple of years, but
that's that big white kid, isn't it? That's that.
Yeah, the 7-footer. Yeah, he going to be nice. He going to be nice. We got a couple transfers, but I just think the college game is, especially if they start getting paid, is going to be moving to more one and dones, and that's just not Beeline style. He knows he's a system guy. Much respect to him. He brought respect back to Michigan basketball, though. Believe
for
that.
sure he did. And to that point, as much as that would have hurt, Beeline at Michigan basketball, that'll hurt Tom Izzo at Michigan State. Tom, when Tom Izzo had these one and dones, when he had Jackson, Miles Bridges, when he had those guys, and I'm telling you what, so we're from the Flint area, so we were, I've played in open gyms with Miles Bridges before. I was pumped, but Tom Izzo just could not connect with those guys he does those.
He's a system guy.
Absolutely.
He needs 4th and 5th year seniors.
Yeah,
that's when he has success. Yeah.
He does better with the program guy.
Coach K is starting to make the transition to getting one and done. He started making the transition.
But look at Kentucky. They'll win a national championship. They'll be down because freshmen just can't win at the rate of those elder statesmen in programs.
Well, and if you look at Tom Izzo, he's going to Final Fours with guys like Austin Thornton, who has no business, being, in big games like that. But then you have Miles Bridges, Jaren Jackson, Deontay Davis, all three, were first round draft picks. You're like, and he can barely get out of the first round of the tourney. So, as much as that's going to hurt, or that would have hurt Beeline at Michigan, that's gonna kick Izzo in the nuts.
That's Izzo's MO. You're right.
Yeah. So.
Well said, gentlemen. Well said. Well, hey, I want to thank Train, B, and Keen for joining us tonight from the Michigan Man Cave
Appreciate you for having us, man. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you guys so much. Be sure
to blast, man. And maybe y'all can come on our show sometime.
Yeah, we would love to. We would love to. I'll throw all their socials down below in the description. Make sure to check them out at all costs. I'll throw them in our story too on our Instagram. Be sure to follow that at BetWithGin on Instagram. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the podcast. I'm John Jay II. Everyone, have a good night.